Arrest simply means the confinement of a person's freedom of movement. Anytime you confine a person from movement, and that's why most of the time they say accost. When the police accost someone, within the period, the police is like talking to you, I am officer this, I am so. There is a complaint against you. You are standing and you are listening. Your arrest has started. That was why I asked him that question. Why? Because you don't have any right to do what? To move away from the place. So if you do it out of rudeness, you have insulted the state or the federal government. So the police represent the state, they represent the state or the federal government, depending on the circumstances of any given case. So anytime someone is being accosted, you are under arrest. So the police doesn't have to, or let's say a policeman doesn't have to necessarily say you are under arrest before you know that you are under arrest. Some of the time they will ask you, are you Mr. So? You say yes. It's okay. There's a complaint against you. Follow me to the police station. Can you say no? You can't say no, but you can ask some vital questions. Please, may I know what I did? It's okay. They said you stole a fowl. May I know who levied the accusation against me? These are your constitutional rights. You need to know. They tell you, okay, I thought they'll say, when you get to police station, we explain to you, you will see the petition and you will read. There is nothing wrong if the policeman does not remember the name of the complainant at that very point. Right? He simply had told you there is an allegation of so against you. And you say, who did it? So follow me. So he is not bound to remember whether it is Mr. A or Mr. B. So you follow him to the police station. At that very point in time, you are obeying the state law. You are obeying the state. You are under arrest. But that arrest is not violent. It's not contrary to the law. It is simply what? Lawful. Now, when you get or the person gets to the police station and then the picture is made clearer to him, did you know Mr. So? Did you have any issue with him or so? Because some complaints could be orally lodged. It could be lodged by oral complaints. Some of the times it's written. So when it is in writing, you can't be within your right to say, okay, can I see it? They will give it to you, you will read. We are talking about a situation of the police doing their work the way they should do their work. All right, they give it to you. But when they say, maybe they're becoming violent, okay, I need my lawyer, I need to call my lawyer. In other words, you are saying, I cannot volunteer my statement. I want my lawyer to be present before I can volunteer my statement. Now, that alone also raises an issue. Before looking at section 3, that alone also raises an issue. Constitutionally or statutorily, you have a right to your counsel, and they can wait until your counsel comes. What if your counsel does not come after 48 hours or until after 48 hours? Who do you blame? No one? Good. Now, let's also look at the other side of the coin. Would the police be under any compulsion to comply with the provision that says don't hold him beyond 48 hours if there is a court within 4 kilometer radius of the place where this person is being held? Did you get my question? Do you think the police is bound to obey or apply that very law? There's no way police can charge somebody to court when the person has not made a statement. Then that is one issue, that the issue of arrest, puts on the front burner. Another issue, like I asked, if the police invites you, invitation could be by phone call. It could be by sending somebody to call you. It could be in writing. When you are invited, the you step into the police station, you are no longer in control of your liberty and freedom of movement. Do you understand? Because you have come there to answer call, right? And the law will not hold the police liable for anything. That's why the law says you are looking at the reason why this person, as at that point in time, the person is not being held. What has been done is that he has been arrested. In other words, arrested is that process of ensuring that a suspect, somebody who has been reasonably suspected of having committed a criminal offense, is made to appear before the police to be aware of the allegations against him and to answer to such allegations. So whether they held him by your hand and dragged you to the police station, or you walk to the police station by yourself to that place, so long as you're doing so in compliance with an invitation, that is what, that is an arrest. For the next issue that I want to raise concerning the issue of arrest, and that's talking about Section 3 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, that's the federal law. Here, what is said here corresponds with the provision of the Police Act. It says a suspect or defendant alleged or charged with committing an offense under this act or any other act of the National Assembly shall be arrested. Mind the words here, shall be arrested, investigated, inquired into, tried or dealt with in accordance with this act, except otherwise provided under this act. So Section 3 is faulted in this material respect. Section 3 is not helpful. So the couching of Section 3 is very inelegant, and it ought to have been rather an exception than being the general rule. Mode of arrest. How do you arrest someone? In making an arrest, the police officer or other persons making the arrest shall actually touch or confine the body of the suspect unless there is a submission to custody by word or caution. Two things here, touch or confine. We know what is, you touch somebody, maybe you just touch and the person turns, and then maybe when you see the man, oh please, you just know instantly you're being under investigation, you're under arrest, you know, once you see that. But at times too, within that momentary arrest, the police can make a inquiry and then discover that this is not the person we're looking for. I think we're sorry. Why did they apologize? Because they have somehow confined you, restrained your movement momentarily, but it is in the course of their duty. So that confinement is what is lawful. Now let's talking about touching. How do you confine the body of a person? Somebody help us. How do you confine the body of a person in arrest? See, confinement is somebody is standing there. It's either you have touched or you're blocking the person's view. When you block, you're facing the person. At times when they do it, most of those trained policemen are trained in psychology and other things. They just stop by your, in your presence, and every criminal knows that once something is done, something is wrong. You understand? So once they confine you, simply means they are blocking, you won't move, right? Naturally, here, what will you do? My friend, what is it? Why are you blocking me? Do you understand? That act of blocking somebody, so it's confinement. At times they can even betray. Somebody blocks you, this one blocks you, this one, but they have not touched you. They have not even said anything. You understand? The next thing that will follow now will be what? That soft discussion. Sorry, we are so they introduce themselves. That is confinement. You don't subject a suspect to a task if he's not violent. There are some known criminals. Right, we want to talk about here, notification of the cause of arrest and the right of suspect, except when the suspect is in the actual cause of the commission of an offense, or is pursued immediately after the commission of an offense, or has escaped from lawful custody. the police officer or other person making the arrest shall inform the suspect immediately of the reason of the arrest. So you have not seen exceptions. You talk about the rights, you didn't tell us the exceptions. It's not every time that the police are enjoined to tell the suspect the reason of his arrest or the reason for being arrested. And these exceptions are very clear. One, if the person was caught in the very act, do you understand? That arrest can just be done directly without any information to the person. Check the person to the police station, and then why were you stabbing somebody's suit with your hand? Right. Or why were you doing so thing, which gives an impression of reasonable suspicion of a crime being committed. That is now when you start talking. But we are talking about at that very point of arrest. It's not every moment, every time that at that point of arrest you must be told what you have done. Again, if somebody has committed for something, they say, hold on, a criminal, people are pursuing, and then other people are boycotting, trying to, ambush the person and make sure the person is caught. As soon as the person is caught, maybe it could be that you that has caught the person, you have arrested the person, you don't even know why the person was running. So you'll be wrong to beat him or to do anything. Just you have assisted, you have arrested, then hand over to the police. Another thing we'll talk about here is section 7, arrest in lieu of the person. Some of the times we have heard police arrest somebody's mother or somebody's father because they were looking for the person and they couldn't get the person. So for any police officer or law enforcement officer to do that, the person will be, committing a civil wrong. You will be violating someone's fundamental right. So Section 7 has said it clearly. A person shall not be arrested in place of a suspect. So even if you can't find the suspect, be patient until you find him or take steps to find the person. Don't go arresting the person's wife, cousin, husband, mother, father, or any of the relatives of the person. Then I also want to talk about this treatment. How do you treat a person when the person has been arrested? Most of the times it depends, our police act, depending on the kind of information they have, depending on the kind of complaint they have. And when you have an uninvestigated complaint or information, that is when most of the time the police get it wrong. It could be maybe somebody has forcefully come here and took your phone and left. And you are shouting, thief. Can anybody with your knowledge of criminal law, can you tell me any instance where somebody can come and take your phone and it will amount to stealing? Just 2 persons?
Bonafide claim of right.
Bonafide claim of right, that's it. So if, for instance, someone, for instance, is like owing you, and you know that you have tried to recover your money, and the person remains reluctant to pay your money, nothing stops you from seizing anything. Afterwards, what matters is what? The mens rea. The mens rea is what matters. So if, for instance, somebody has taken a phone and put it up and somebody is caught and you start assaulting the person, beating the person, you are now infringing Section 8 of AJA. Because you have not even known the nitty-gritties of the person's action. What did he do for him to deserve beating and all that? So this is the kind of those jungle justice. Is one of the things Section 8 is out to prevent. And he said, treat the person humanly. He is violent. And the law I should use reasonable force to defend myself, because I have to be alive to arrest another person now. Right. So if I'm doing it, I'm not infringing Section 8. I'm being humane. Right. Because I've not started. That's also when the law of retaliation will come into your mind. When you are retaliating, are you retaliating within the same propensity or proportion, or are you using an absurd proportion in retaliation? Somebody slaps you and you look for dagger and you stab the person. Is it commensurate, proportionate? It is not. It's only in that instance that you can ask, oh, the policeman, you have infringed Section 8. So this situation is something that has to be, read within the context of the special circumstances of the matter. A suspect shall not be arrested merely on civil wrong. You are challenging violation of fundamental right. The court simply look at what? The reason for the arrest. So if the reason for the arrest is related to land, then it is against Section 8, subsection 2. It's simple. It's not something you can invoke the arms of the police. Right of suspects, I'll give you two. One instance is remain silent. The other instance is remain mute. The right to remain silent when there's an allegation against you, in the face of oppression and suppression, the man dies. Right. So why would you want to call such a thing right? Why can't you make it explicit? You have a right to call your lawyer. You have a right to remain silent. And maybe to remain silent. By interpretation, so you can remain silent until your lawyer comes. And then another one, the right to remain mute. When somebody is arraigned in court, and you're telling me that one of his constitutional rights is the right to remain mute. It doesn't make sense. Why the right to remain mute? And then the question is, what even happens in case of violation? I'll come back to ask you that very question.